Most clinic owners are planning their sales and marketing completely wrong. When planning their quarters, their goals and systems don't have any sort of quantitative measure to them. They have a top line revenue goal, but no real clarity into how they're actually going to hit it. So, today I'm going to show you how you can use math and specific KPIs to get super specific on exactly what you need to be doing this quarter in order to hit your top line revenue goals. This is probably going to be the most important podcast that I've done all year, to be totally honest with you. In last week's podcast, we talked about like what campaigns you should be running in the new year. And today, what we're going to talk about is how you should actually be planning your quarters. Okay. Quarterly planning is this big thing. Everybody does it, which you should be doing it for sure. Don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of people look at it the wrong way and they set these quarterly goals that definitely aren't smart goals. So have like some specificity behind them. And that's where these KPIs come into play. It's really easy to look at KPIs like, "Oh, I want to do this many evaluations or this many sessions or, do these many workshops." And there's no like real like how behind them. And the KPIs I'm going to show you today are going to be KPIs that are actually going to get you to those metrics. So if you want to do X amount of revenue this month, this quarter, these are the KPIs that are actually going to get you there. So in today's podcast, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to break down the 8 KPIs that are actually going to do something about growing your clinic. I'm going to show you how to use these KPIs to turn planning your month and hitting your monthly top line revenue goal into a math problem, and then show you an AI calculator tool that you can use for free to plan all of this stuff out. So, first thing I'm going to dive into here is the 8 KPIs you should actually be tracking. Okay. And these are super important. Again, and don't get me wrong, you should be tracking all of the other things like number of sessions that you've done and, blah, 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 those other things. I think you've got to be doing that stuff. Okay. Don't get me wrong. But without these 8 KPIs, it's hard to hit those numbers. Okay. So, I think these are the leading KPIs. If you're not doing these things, then you're never going to hit the bigger picture KPIs that most people are talking about. And these are going to be really just like in the sales and marketing world, which I think is the most important thing, because without marketing, you can't sell. Without selling, you can't grow a business. You've got to be able to sell and market your business is the most important thing. Doesn't matter how good of a clinician you are. If you can't sell, if you can't market, you're not going to have a clinic that's going to grow. So the first KPI that we are going to be tracking is the total number of leads that you get per month. This sounds pretty easy and makes sense, but if I asked 10 clinic owners, I would tell you 8 of them would not know how many leads they generated this month. And that is a problem because leads are the lifeblood of your clinic. And if you don't know how many leads you're getting, or if you're not getting any leads, then you're never going to grow and you're never going to sustain your staff PT schedule. So you need to have visibility into this. So the first thing you need to know is how many leads are you getting each month. And if I asked you this, you should be able to snap your fingers and you should know exactly. On average, I get about 50 leads a month. You should know that number off the top of your head. The second KPI that you should be tracking is, of those leads that you're getting every single month, how many of those leads are turning into a patient? Okay, so you get those 50 leads every single month. How many of them are turning into patients? This is super important to know because that's going to dictate how many leads you actually need. And it's going to tell you how are you actually hitting your top line revenue goal. Well, you need 10 more new patients in this month. And you know that, in order to get 10 patients, you need 50 leads in the door. So that's going to help you go and market and spend money on advertising and do a certain amount of local marketing events. So knowing the percentage of leads that turn into patients, super important to help you quarterly plan, because then you can figure out, I need to get this many leads. This is what I'm going to do in order to get that many leads. And then the rest of the system is just going to take care of itself because that percentage of leads actually turns into patients. The third KPI that you're going to want to be tracking is what we call MRR, or monthly recurring revenue. Now, you are not Netflix. You do not have reoccurring revenue that happens every single month. You're not taking $29.99 from everybody every single month. But what you do have is recurring revenue. If you are selling packages in payment plans and you're offering a continuity program. This is why I love the payment plans for the initial packages, and I don't like the painfuls. Sure, you're losing out on the initial big bump in cash flow from those people coming in the door. Say your 10 pack is $2,000, $200 a session, just for easy math. Instead of collecting that full $2,000 in December, you're going to collect a third of that this month, a third of it next month, and a third of it the following month. That's recurring revenue that you're getting while somebody's in a payment plan. It's going to be less money for sure, but it's predictable. And what you can do with this MRR number is you can start to figure out, okay, I have 10 people that are in a payment plan for a 10 pack right now. That adds up to $5,000 worth of recurring revenue that I get every single month. You can now put that towards your overhead because it's guaranteed revenue. You know that that's coming in the door every single month. And the way that we did it at Ripple was the recurring revenue that hit on the first of each month. So I knew exactly on the first of each month, okay, when the first hits, we're going to invoice $40,000. I knew that my payroll cost me 30 grand a month. My rent was $5,000. I had marketing expenses that was $5,000. I was about at break even with our recurring revenue number. So all of the new patient revenue that came in was net revenue, and I could invest that in other PTs. I could spend more money on marketing. I could pay myself a little bit more money. That's really important to know. And again, it's much more predictable than paid in full packages. So I do like this model a lot better, and it's going to help you just run a more efficient business. So the third KPI, MRR, very important. The fourth KPI that you're going to want to be tracking. This one's a little bit trickier to pull, but this is lifetime value of your patients coming in. So on average, how much money is a patient spending with you? So the easiest way to do this, it's not going to give you an exact number, but what you can do is, it's the end of 2025 right now. You could take the amount of top line revenue that you generated in 25, divide that by the number of patients you saw, and you can give yourself a general LTV number. You could also do that for, however long you've been open, or you can take, the revenue that every patient has paid you, and you can divide that by all of the patients you have. So there's a million different ways that you can do this. You just want a general number here. It doesn't need to be exact. You just need to know in ballpark how much money is an average patient spending with you. Let's say your initial package is $2,000, and then half of the people, spend another $1,000 with you in continuity. So you're at about $2,500 of LTV. Obviously, the higher your LTV is, the better off you're going to be, but you need to know this number. Very important. The fifth KPI that you're going to want to be tracking, I think everybody's doing this, no need for much explanation here, is the number of evals that come in the door and how many packages you are selling off of this. So what is the percentage of evals that you're selling into packages? Very important to understand as a clinic as a whole and by each provider that you have. Baseline for this, I think, should be 75%, but you need to track it again by staff PTs. If one of your staff PTs is falling under that mark, you may not be able to keep that person around because you need to sell packages in order to grow your business. The sixth KPI that you're going to want to be looking at, and I think that this is the most important KPI for me, and I think that most clinics are not tracking this. It is the amount of packages that you sell. How many of those people are purchasing continuity with you? So they bought a first package and then they're buying something else with you. This is super important because this affects a lot of the other KPIs that we're looking at. So if you have a really high initial package to continuity purchase percentage, that means your LTV number is going to be much higher because people are buying more from you. That also is going to mean that your MRR is going to be much higher because chances are your continuity option is going to be something that somebody's paying you month over month on a recurring basis. So this is super important. Obviously, the first step for this is having a continuity plan in place. If you don't have a continuity plan in place, you need to be doing that. Please do that. But tracking this again it's something that you need to hold your staff PTs to a standard. You need to hold your clinic to a standard. This is super, super important. Without this, it's really hard to keep staff PT schedules full. And then the other two that I like to track, these are a little bit trickier, but again, are really good leading indicators, is the average time that it takes for somebody to complete a 10 pack of sessions. So how long does it take for somebody, and 10 pack is an ambiguous number here. It can be whatever you sell the most of. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 15, it's somewhere in that ballpark. The closest that number is to 3 months, the better off your clinic is going to be. If it, on average, takes somebody 6 months to finish the first package with you, that means that it's going to be really hard to keep your staff staff PT schedules full because they're always going to be on that evaluation, the wheel of evaluations. They're always going to need more evaluations versus if people are finishing their initial package as fast as possible, that means that they did more sessions in a shorter amount of time, which means fuller schedules. And that also means that you have the opportunity to then sell them into continuity, which is super, super important to build up that MRR to increase that LTV. So again, very important. And then the eighth KPI that I like to look at is the average length of time a patient is coming in consistently. So at least once a month is what I would track here. And how long are they coming in at least once a month? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Is it 3 months? This is stuff that you should be tracking. And again, that they have to be coming in for this. So these are super important KPIs. I think these are all things that you need to be tracking. And all of this stuff, if you there's no real benchmark for any of these either, because most of them are going to depend on the size of your business. So like the first KPI, total number of leads. If you're a bigger clinic and you're trying to fill 10 PT schedules, obviously you're going to need more leads than someone who's only got one staff PT. The percent of leads that turn into patients, this is going to depend on what type of marketing you're doing. Are you running meta ads? Are you running Google ads? Are you just getting all purely warm leads in the door? That number is obviously going to be higher than if you're spending a bunch of money on advertising. So these are all things that are going to be clinic specific for you. If you did want help figuring these KPIs out and what the benchmarks are for your business, head to thepatchsystem.com, book a free call with us. This is a strategy call. We can go over all of these numbers for you. And if you can't pull these numbers, you don't know where to pull them, it's an even better reason to book a call with us because we can set up a system for you to track all of these KPIs here. So definitely head on over there. What I want to dive into now is, okay, how do we use these KPIs in order to figure out how are we going to plan our quarter here, okay? So if you are watching this on YouTube or if you're listening to this on the podcast, but you want to follow along, definitely head on over to the YouTube channel because I'm going to start to draw some of this stuff out for you guys, but I'll explain it as I'm talking through it as well. Basically, what we're going to do here is as we're talking about planning a quarter, okay? So Q1 is coming up here. We're trying to make a plan for quarter one. Let's say that our Q1 goal is $60,000 for that quarter, okay? So that's what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to hit 60K for our Q1 goal. Well, that means that we need to hit $20,000 every single month. So that's going to be our goal for January. That's our top line revenue goal. That's something that you need to have every single month. And this is going to help us use some of those KPIs to now figure out what do we need to be doing in order to figure out our sales and marketing process here. So if I take that 20K a month top line revenue number goal, and I understand that every month I'm invoicing 2K worth of monthly recurring revenue. So I know that in the month of January, we've got a handful of people on a payment package. We are going to invoice $2,000 from those people. So now I know that that's guaranteed revenue coming in the door. That means that my new goal now is 18K per month. All right, perfect. So now I need to go and find $18,000 worth of new patient revenue. How am I going to do that? Well, the first thing I need to figure out is how many new patients is that going to be? So if I know that my LTV per patient is $2,000, well, I know that if every patient is worth $2,000 and I need to generate $18,000 this month, I just divide 18K by 2K, and that means I need to go and find 9 new patients. Okay, so if I divide this by my 2K LTV, that means I need 9 new patients this month. Perfect. Okay. And, a little note with that too, right? Of like, obviously, this 2K LTV, if we're doing this on a monthly basis, we may not be invoicing all $2,000 of that LTV right off the bat. If you're doing payment plans, you're not going to be invoicing all of that $2,000. So you need to figure out that LTV, what is that per month that you're getting from somebody? Because that's going to give you a little bit more accurate information. But, for this example of this clinic, they're only invoicing $2,000 of recurring revenue. So their LTV per month is going to be pretty high. So I think that 2K is probably pretty fair to assume there. Okay, cool. So I know I need to go get 9 patients per month. This is where a lot of clinics stop, is they say, okay, I need to go get 9 patients a month. I'm just going to go and do that. And I'm just going to hope that that happens. That's not acceptable for me. I don't think that that's how you should be doing it. Let's put some more numbers behind this. So if we know that, of the number of leads that we get, we convert, let's call it 20% of those leads into patients. Okay, cool. And what that would mean is if I had 100 leads, I would get 20 new patients from that. So if I want to go and I want to get 9 new patients in the door, based off of that math there, keeping it super easy, if I go and get, and I'll put it over here, if I go and get 50 leads in the month, that means I'm going to generate 10 new patients from that, which is just above the 9 new patients I need this month, which means I'm going to hit my top line revenue goal. Because if I generate 10 patients at $2,000, that's 20 grand right there. And I add on my 2K a month of monthly recurring revenue, that is going to get me $22,000 of revenue that month. So I'm going to be 2K over my actual monthly goal. We're going to be golden for that first month of Q1. And, now I know instead of my goal being, all right, I just got to go and figure out how to generate $20,000 this month. Now all you need to know is I need to go and get 50 leads. That's much more attainable and that's much more doable because you know that all of the other numbers in your system, everything's going to fall into place as long as you get this 50 leads number. It's really, really important. And if you even want to take it another level and you're really good on your tracking of those 50 leads, let's say that every month you get 10 ads leads and you get 10 word of mouth leads and you get 10 people organically. So that would be 30 total. So that means you need to find 20 leads somewhere. And if you know that you get 5 leads for workshops, that means you need to do 4 workshops this month. So now you can do your normal ad spend, you can count on your word of mouth referrals, you can count on your organic marketing. And now if you go do your 4 workshops, you're going to hit your leads number. And if you didn't want to do all of those workshops, you could just increase your ads budget to get more of those ad leads in the door. Totally fine. This is how this all should work for you. It's very, very simple, and it really should just be a math equation for you. This is business right here. It doesn't matter if you're running a pizza shop or a physical therapy clinic or digital marketing clinic like what I'm doing with Patch. This is how business works. This stuff is super, super important. And it's honestly, it's pretty easy to figure all of this stuff out. So I urge you guys to start figuring out those KPIs, figure out where you're at with all of this and what you need to be doing in order to hit your top line revenue goal. So if you know your top line revenue goal, then you're going to be able to take all those KPIs and then you're just going to understand how many leads do I need to get this month. And once you know how many leads you need to get this month, then everything else is that much easier. So one last thing here, I want to show you guys a tool that I use or I built to help just make this a lot easier for you guys to figure out. And again, if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you head to the patchsystem.ai, you can check all this stuff out. If you are watching on YouTube, I'll share my screen here, and this is just a little app tool here where you're able to plug in your top line revenue number goal, your current MRR, your LTV per patient, what percent of leads are turning into patients, and how many leads you're getting per month, which is then going to show you how many additional leads you need based on your current total leads number. So this is a really nice tool. If you say you want to generate your top line revenue goal is $100,000 and your current MRR is 20,000 bucks and you're getting $4,000 per patient and you're converting at an elite level at 35% and you're currently getting 50 leads, the tool is telling you that you need 8 more. And so you need to go and get 8 more leads there. Makes it very, very easy for you. So again, if you head on over to the patchsystem.ai, if you hit the try it for free button, you can sign up for this tool. We also have an AI image editor, an AI evaluation email generator. These are really nice tools. I'm going to start to roll out a bunch of AI tools. I want to teach you guys and get you guys comfortable with using AI. It's one of my big initiatives for 2026. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to go to thepatchsystem.com, book a free demo with us. We'll go over all of this stuff with you, and I will talk to you guys next week.